What is Hunter Biden's lawyer in the laptop scandal doing in the It Ends With Us lawsuit? How is he connected to Nick Shapiro, Blake Lively, Leslie Sloan? And is Blake Lively planting false evidence of a smear campaign on TikTok? What is happening? Well, we are going to break it down here for you. This video is going to get no reach, but I refuse to be silenced, and I refuse. Welcome to the channel. My name is Ashley Brianna Eve, and I have over 15 years of experience in branding, marketing, and a particular interest in SEO and reputation management. So I bring that lens to trending pop culture stories, which at this time is all consuming with the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni lawsuits. So if you're looking for a unique lens to what's going on in that lawsuit, this is your new home. Welcome. And for those that are members of the community, I apologize that we're not doing a Friday live stream. I'll be completely honest. I was talking about this on my Instagram stories. I am feeling the exhaustion of this week. I love this community so much. We talked for about an hour and a half to 2 hours every day, which put me behind in my client work, which meant I was working late. And the dogs just had to get up apparently this week at 4:30 every morning. And this morning when they got me up at 4:30, I just pulled my hoodie. I don't know about you guys. I sleep in a hoodie and socks. I'm weird. Pulled my hoodie over my eyes and I just was like, not today, Satan, not today. And so my poor husband had to get up with the dogs today. I could barely get myself out of bed. So what I decided to do was get you guys the information in a pre-recorded video, set it as a premiere because I know everyone is so close. It's a family here, a bunch of friends. You can hang out with your friends in the chat. But first, let's dive into what's going on with James Vituscka. I apologize, James, if I mispronounce your name. I am horrible with names. You'll just get used to it if you stick around. And if you are new, make sure to like, subscribe, hang out with us. There's a bunch of content that is over in the playlist. Actually, before we get started, I want to talk to you about that because I have received a lot of messages saying, Ashley, you've got to check out Candace Owens. She's talking about the connection of the CIA with media and the New York Times. We talked about this 3 months ago. Let me pull it up quick. I'm going to pull up that video fast for you. This video here actually didn't get a ton of traction. None of my stuff on Nick Shapiro did. The only place it got traction with was in Blake Lively's smear campaign articles in like Glamour against Justin Baldoni. I was quoted in those. However, I will put this link in the show notes for this episode. And it's Blake Lively brings in the CIA. This episode, we break down bringing in Nick Shapiro. What is his past, his connection to both the CIA and to Black Box? We look at as well Shapiro's political connections. We also break down in this episode the connections between Rahm Emanuel, which is Ari Emanuel's brother, and Ari Emanuel with Blake, Nick, all of it. So there's connections with Rahm Emanuel and Nick Shapiro. So those connections get brought in. We also look at in this episode, so there we go, connections to Obama with Emanuel, which is Ari Emanuel, ride or die for Blake and Ryan, his brother who is into politics. We bring in the CIA history of media manipulation in this episode. And so we go really deep into that. I actually found the CIA's use of journalists and clergy and intelligence operations, and I bring that in, like it's actual government document, and I break down how the CIA admitted to being involved in infiltration of journalists to sway media opinion and therefore sway people's views on events, like society and citizens' views on events. Also the infiltration of clergy. And so we talk about that. We also talk about the CIA manipulation of media, which is really interesting as well. And we play Theaters of War, the trailer, which also brings that in. So it's a really interesting video. If you did watch Candace's or not, I think you're really going to like this because it does talk about all of the connections and why I think it's really interesting that Nick Shapiro was brought on because he was a big player in the CIA. I know a lot of people at the time, I had a lot of pushback of like, he was just a janitor. No, he wasn't. I feel like it was Blake Lively's team pushing that. But anyway, great video. I'll put the link in the notes for you guys if you want extra content to watch today or you want to revisit that video today. It's a fantastic video. Share it on TikTok, share it in Reddit, get that information out. But with that said, let's swing back to James. So for a quick recap, James is a Daily Mail reporter And his text messages showed up in the timeline for Bryan Freedman. And he is the one that it kind of came back to that claimed Leslie Sloan. I know you need like a string chart for this. Leslie Sloan had accused Justin Baldoni of SA. And then James came out with this declaration, submitted it to Judge Lyman and said that never happened. Leslie never said that, and basically retracted everything. What it appeared to me to be was that James was playing both sides. That's what it seemed like to me. But he retracted everything and sided with Leslie Sloan. And his statements, from my understanding, not a lawyer, branding expert here, but from my understanding, was a big piece of what kind of exonerated Leslie, if you will, and got her out of this. What's interesting to me is then he comes out yesterday with this, and it says it's a declaration of service, and this is his old lawyers, Thomas Sullivan, pursuant to 28 USC 1746, state as follows. I'm a partner with the law firm of Ballard Spahr, LLP, withdrawing counsel for non-party James Vituscka in this action. I have personal knowledge of the matters stated herein. On June 19th, 2025, I served a true and correct copy of the motion for leave to withdraw as counsel for the non-party James Vituscka and the accompanying stipulation for the substitution of counsel. Upon Mr. Vituscka's through his new counsel, Tina Glandian, apologize if it's mispronounced, via email. Ms. Glandian agreed to accept service on Mr. Vituscka's behalf through email. Now, Reddit is popping off right now, okay? But I always like to look at things logically. Reddit is popping off because people are saying that this here, I have personal knowledge of the matters stated herein. People on Reddit are saying, oh my gosh, they know something, like he knows that James is lying. And because he knows James is lying, they dropped him. I don't know if there's anything to back that up. Really, what that statement is just saying that I have personal knowledge of the matters stated here. That I'm leaving and Tina's in. I tapped out and Tina's in. So that statement has been contorted a little bit on Reddit. There is nothing to prove at this point that James had lied. There's nothing. Not to say he didn't. I wouldn't put anything past power players, honestly. But at this point, there's nothing to suggest that he lied in his affidavit, his sworn affidavit to the courts. But the interesting thing here, and maybe this is really good, maybe this is a good time to plug that episode again, because going back and watching that CIA episode will go really nice with this video, because you're not going to believe this. The one thing it does look like is that he swapped out lawyers for criminal lawyers. So I don't know if he's expecting to get in some trouble here. It'll be interesting to see. However, this Tina, who is beautiful and very intelligent and very successful, good job, Tina. Wow. She works for Garagos and Garagos. We're going to discuss that in a second. Don't you worry, because you're probably going, holy shit, isn't that the Garagos that's connected to Bryan Freedman? Yes, you are right. You're right. But there's something more interesting here. And you got to watch that episode. Let's get the views up on that episode. Like under 2,000 views is like painful for a video that is so damn good. But the thing you're going to learn from that is Nick Shapiro, and all my other content on Nick Shapiro is Blake Lively's crisis PR. He was intimately connected. We're not going to go over it again here because I beat the dead horse in multiple. I'll put all the videos for you to check out. Multiple pieces of content. I talk about that. He was the one within the CIA that was in communications with journalists, connecting Brennan and the CIA with the journalists at Politico to get their Russian disinformation article out to hide the truth of Hunter Biden's laptop. So Nick Shapiro was a key player in getting the story out, getting the narrative out that they wanted, and protecting Hunter Biden. Key player. I'd say when we're talking about PR and narrative control, I'd say he is the player, because he got the story they wanted out and the headline they wanted out to someone that he knew would not just push their narrative, but what he also did is discredit the New York Post in the same vein, because the New York Post was starting to run with the truth. It's really interesting there. But let's just check out who Glanigan has worked with. Her notable clients include pop singer Kesha, R&B star Chris Brown, a winner, former world heavyweight champion Mike Tyson, Jussie Smollett, social media personalities Andrew and Tristan Tate. And the first son, Hunter Biden. What was she representing Hunter for? Let's have a look. Okay, so we're going to break down or look like this, but this gets like messy, guys. And I don't have an answer to this other than this is really just really fucking weird. It's just really weird because you're going to see another name. I don't have an answer for it. Hunter Biden revives lawsuit against Fox News over explicit images used in streaming series. So he had renewed this lawsuit. Tina was in a lot of press around it, talking about why they renewed the lawsuit. Biden's attorney, Tina Glanadin, didn't immediately respond to requests for comment on why the suit was revived. So she's been very front-facing in the fight for Hunter Biden. But you're not, this is what blew my mind when I saw this, because I'll show. Now, there is a history of Bryan Freedman and Garagos working very close together. In fact, Garagos and Bryan Freedman are actually working together right now on the Menendez brothers case and the resentencing. They are currently working together because, you know, here's the thing. I'm not saying that Nick Shapiro suggested Tina. Could he have? Of course he could have. But this is, again, the weird. And I guess when you're talking about the best of the best in the game, the best of the best lawyers in the game, you go with the best when you need the best, I suppose. And Bryan Freedman is one of the best. And why do I mention Bryan Freedman's name? Well, I'm going to show you. All right, here we are. Biden's attorneys include Mark Garagos, Bryan Freedman, and Tina Glanigan, who have a reputation for aggressive tactics. So what we're seeing here, Fox stood by its past handling of the allegations against Hunter Biden and its initial response to this letter demanding removal of the mock trial series and corrections to other segments. The quote is, Hunter Biden's lawyers have belatedly chosen to publicly attack Fox News' constitutionally protected coverage regarding their client. Fox News said in a statement emailed Tuesday morning to NPR and other news outlets. Mr. Biden is a public figure who has been the subject of investigations by both the Department of Justice and Congress and has been indicted by 2 different U.S. attorneys' offices in California and Delaware and has admitted multiple incidents of wrongdoing. The statement continues, consistent with the First Amendment, Fox News has accurately covered these highly publicized events as well as subsequent indictments of the FBI informant who was the source of certain claims made about Mr. Biden. U.S. law makes it harder for people considered public figures to win defamation suits. This is why I said I've been dying on the hill of. If you're new to the channel, you're going to have to check out, leave a comment if you are looking for this video because I create a lot of content. I've been dying on the hill of Bryan Freedman knew the defamation case wasn't going to go anywhere, but it was. I have an analogy in one of my videos about racehorses, and you have two racehorses in the race. Blake has 2, Justin has 2, the law and PR. I will die on the hill of the defamation lawsuit was more so for PR. Not that they didn't want to win it. Not that they didn't think he was defamed. I do believe they wanted to win it. And I do believe they did believe Justin was defamed because he was defamed by Blake Lively. And I do think they knew it was a long shot. But that's just so interesting to me. So I'm not saying that Nick Shapiro suggested Tina. I'm not saying that this is some kind of weird, Bryan Freedman called up Mark and said, hey, Mark, you want to get involved with this too? Does your law firm want to get involved with this too? It's just really weird to me that you have the CIA having worked to cover up Hunter Biden. Blake brings in the CIA. Candace had talked about the CIA being involved with the New York Times side. I will not make those allegations. You can watch my video and make your own conclusions. I don't want a lawsuit against me. And then Tina joins. Again, it's just weird to me. This case gets weirder by the day. And I swear every day with this case, I say it can't get any more out there. And then it does. So I genuinely don't know what this means. Let me know in the chat what you think it means, but it's just weird. And it wasn't until I looked up Tina that I realized Bryan Freedman was connected to Hunter Biden. I had no idea, which is really interesting. So let me know your thoughts in the comments in the chat because I don't know, but I will say it's just weird. But what else is weird? Well, it looks like Blake Lively may be planting false evidence of a smear campaign. What? What? Okay, guys, we're going to dive into that next. All right, to give credit where credit is due, and because she is amazing, I love her. I just found her yesterday and she's incredible. So go show her some love. Asia is messy over on TikTok. Absolutely adore her. Again, just found her yesterday because someone had sent this to me. I had a video yesterday talking about how I had shorts taken down, even unlisted shorts on YouTube. I saw some people on social media saying, is this factual? This Ashley Brianna Eve girl. I'm like, dude, I showed you the emails. Like, I don't have the time to fake emails from YouTube, y'all. I don't have the time for that. Of course, it's factual. I don't have time for that. But I showed you videos at yesterday's live. It's all time stamped. It was a long live, so I time stamped it, where YouTube had taken down 3 of my shorts because it said the original interview was either deleted or they stopped the ability to remix off of it. So if you make a short on YouTube, and essentially what you can do is you can go in, and some videos on YouTube allow you the ability to clip a bit and do like a green screen with it and use that clip in your own content. Well, if you do that, if you clip it directly from YouTube, which is what I had done, I had gone through and I was trying to make a reel, or I did make a reel. It was contrasting Blake Lively's Time 100 speech to previous interviews she's done. And so if you go into a video, say E! News does a video, and you go into E! News and they allow you the ability to clip it and repurpose it essentially as a green screen. If you do that, if the original video is deleted, I should have described this better yesterday. If the original video is deleted, YouTube allows content creators to have control over their content, including content that was made off of it. So if you were to do that on this video and I delete this video, your short's going to be removed because I've said I don't want this content on the internet anymore, which I actually do agree with that. I think that's fair enough. Doesn't mean the content's gone because screen records, etc. But I do agree with that concept. But what happened was Blake Lively had deleted the videos, which meant because I had created shorts in that way, those videos were gone. Therefore, my shorts had to be removed. But in the last about week and a half, I've also had videos tagged or like flagged and reported for against community guidelines. I was against the community guidelines for nudity in one because I shared the video of Blake Lively. I think it was her ad for, is it Betty Boos, I think, with the actor with his legs up in the air and she's standing at his like bottom. I shared that one. My video was flagged for against community guidelines. And then I had videos flagged for against community guidelines, which were getting struck for not being able to be monetized. But I was able to fight all of those and it was fine. I actually, for the one video, had to take out the images and clip pieces out of it that use that image. But regardless, it ended up being okay. But I kept getting these strikes against me. And then yesterday, and I'll show you that image too. So you guys have the proof. You have the receipts, as the kids say. So people don't think I'm making it up. Where TikTok. So I shared in my TikTok stories. I don't know if they're called TikTok stories. I shared the image from that video yesterday, which said, "Is Blake Lively scrubbing the internet?" or something along those lines. I posted it in my TikTok story saying, "Check out the link in my bio to watch." That's all it said. There wasn't anything else in it. Shortly later, I go over to TikTok and I have an alert. I go into the alert and my video had been flagged for against community guidelines. So what you want to keep in mind is what can happen. My experience is branding, marketing, PR. This is my jam. This is what I do. Jam is my jam, as Mickey Markle would say. So this is my jam. What can happen if you are enlisting bot farms? You can mass report accounts. YouTube, for example, or TikTok won't know the difference between a mass report on bots on an account or a video versus real people reporting it. So you can effectively get videos taken down. You can get channels taken down through mass reporting through bots. I have somehow gotten on Blake and Ryan's radar multiple times. They have been watching me. I've been aware of that. And not just because I know, because I'm told, but also because I've been in 2 hit pieces. So that Glamour magazine Mommy Sleuth article, I think that I'm the only one that has a direct quote. They directly quote me in the article to discredit me, which is a Nick Shapiro thing. Remember we were talking about that with the CIA and his letter or his article to Politico, which wasn't just putting out their story, but discrediting the New York Post. Yes, that is a Nick Shapiro thing. So I was directly quoted in it. So I'm very aware that they see my content. But interestingly enough, there is something that I had noticed, but I had been too busy. Like I said, I couldn't even get out of bed this morning. I was still burned out and exhausted. We run a farm animal sanctuary, a feral cat colony, a farm. I have multiple businesses. I stream on YouTube. I create tons of content for you guys on YouTube. By Friday, I'm going to be quite blunt with you, very burned out. And I don't even get the weekend off because we have a farm. So we're up every morning taking care of the animals by 7 a.m. We're out working the farm. So yeah, some weeks it catches up to me more than others. Plus client calls. I actually still do branding and marketing, so I still have clients. But anyway, I hadn't really looked into it. I'm going to show you this video first. And again, go show her some love. Her videos are hilarious. I love them. And I'm ADHD too, so love the ADHD rants in her bio. This is what finally made me pause and be like, holy shit, I never circled back to this. And it was someone on X that shared this with me. It was like, Ashley, did you see this? Do you know about this? And I didn't. Well, I did in the back of my mind, but thankfully for Asia, she put the pieces together for us.
This post is for Blake Lively and Blake Lively only. Girl, listen, if you're going to be out here trying to stage a fake PR campaign, I'm going to need you to be a little less obvious about it, okay? Blake Lively is crashing out so badly that she's literally trying to create fake PR receipts in our comment sections, y'all. I already knew something was up the day that I got this comment tag in my post about Judge Lyman dismissing Justin Baldoni's defamation case. Then the same day on the same post, Katie shows up, tagging everyone that I have seen creating content about this. Now, I've gotten so...
Okay, I'm going to pause here. The interesting thing when I first watched this video on my phone, when on X, I was told, Ash, have you seen this? I watched it and I was like, oh, that name sounds familiar, Katie. Why does it sound familiar? It hadn't clicked right away because again, I'm just exhausted. So it hadn't clicked right away. And I went back through and I was like, wait a minute. I am tagged in every single one of these. Every single one that's shown, I'm tagged. We have Daily Dose of Donna, like everyone that's LZ, Candace Owen, Shasti, like everyone that's been creating consistent content on this is tagged. But it didn't click that every single screenshot she showed had my name on it at first. So I watched it back and I was like, oh my gosh, that is the Katie that has been in my, like, flooding my TikTok mentions or activity. I'm talking about, like, I could probably track hundreds from her.
So many just in the last week. Not only are y'all tagging me under theirs and them under mine and us under each other's, you're going back as far as March, February even. Why would we want to do that? I don't know. Maybe to try and create some false timeline, trying to prove that we've been working with Bryan to create a false negative narrative around you this entire time. No, baby, we just don't like you.
I love her. I mean, how do you not love her immediately? She is amazing. And it's so true. She put the pieces together. This is 100% what it is, to look like there's some kind of coordinated smear campaign.
Why this is so hard for you to accept, I'll never understand, girl. And here's the kicker. Last night, about, I don't know, almost 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I get another tag from Katie. And this time it's on Perez Hilton's newest video talking about what? This exact subpoena. Hilton's newest video.
Let's back up just a little bit.
From Katie. And
so they're tagged again. All the regular names. Billy Bush is there. It's wild. Good catch.
This time it's on Perez Hilton's newest video talking about what? This exact subpoena and this exact little false narrative she's pandering around now. This name Katie and the other one that I've seen, Miley.
There's
Let's
my name
talk about
again.
why those names are important. Katie.
So I'm just going to pause quick. I have another name that's been doing this and spamming me with tags, but we'll finish here first. I haven't seen this Miley on mine.
Works for TAG, the agency group, the group or the agency that she claims is a part of this smear campaign that doesn't exist against her. Coincidence? I fucking think not. And Miley? I don't know. That might just be Bryan Freedman's partner, Miles. I don't know. I could be reaching, but it's there. But guess what, Blake? I see what you're doing, and you picked the wrong bitch. You're trying to plan a pattern, trying to tag us all in old content so you can take it back to the judge and be like, look, see what they're doing. They've been doing it the whole time. Sorry, babes, but this is not a smear campaign. It's content. We don't like you. And the only one coordinating anything right now is you. You wanted to make it look like Bryan Freedman and content creators were working together. Well, girly pop, consider this your exhibit A. I'm going to email this TikTok directly to Bryan Freedman myself. And I hope you cited in your next motion. Tell the judge I said hi and have the day you deserve. Bye.
All right. So go show her some love. And girl, if you're ever watching this, if you ever see this, come on the channel. I would love to have you on. You are such my vibe. So that was when it finally clicked in. I had to watch it a couple times because it didn't, like I said, it didn't fully click it right away. My mentions have been blowing up for quite some time, but I would say it's ramped up in the last week quite significantly, where I will have, a couple of likes or a couple of comments and then 4 or 5 by Katie. But let me show you. I'm going to pull up her TikTok page, Katie's, and another one that's doing the same to me. So this is Katie's account. And I mean, it has all the hallmarks for what we call in PR and marketing a sock puppet account. We've talked about this previously. Sock puppet accounts refers to essentially a false identity that you create to deceive or mislead others. Ryan Reynolds did this very publicly when he did his Tragically Hip bullshit in Kingston, Ontario. So I have a video on that as well, where I call him out for astroturfing and for sock puppet accounts. Very clearly had sock puppet accounts in community groups within Kingston. Okay, so we know they do it. We know they themselves have sock puppet accounts. Ryan Reynolds has them. So essentially what you're doing is you're creating a false online identity to deceive or mislead others and to hide the real identity of someone. Now, when we're looking at the purpose of a sock puppet account, it can be, well, it's all deceptive, but it can be for promoting a specific viewpoint. So you might see that in Reddit, for example. You might see a lot of, all of a sudden, new accounts show up and they're all pushing a specific viewpoint. You're like, where did this come from? So they're promoting a specific viewpoint, manipulating public opinion, circumventing restrictions, and engaging in prohibited activities as well. And that can be, for example, like editing a Wikipedia page, right? So falsely editing a Wikipedia page, you might create a sock puppet account for that. They can also promote a specific agenda, trolling or disruptive behavior, and even like to take a step back, promoting a specific agenda would be exactly what Asia's talking about in regards to they can create the illusion, a sock puppet account can create the illusion of widespread support for a specific viewpoint, or to attack opponents, or to, I don't know, create the illusion of a fake smear campaign. So to me, she has this Katie person, she or he, hi Blake, hi Ryan, has all the hallmarks of a sock puppet account. Followers are 54, but it's probably other sock puppets. It's probably other people involved. Following 386. I imagine if I was able to click on that, it would be all people that are pro Justin accounts to track them and follow them. There's no bio, there's no picture, there's no identifying information at all. So that is, I'm pretty confident and comfortable in saying, unless Katie messages me and it turns out to be a real person, that it is a sock puppet account. I will say there's a third account that I don't want to put on blast just yet that has been doing the same type of behavior. Now, the reason being is I get tagged in a lot of stuff, but typically what you're going to see is someone that's a legit human and a legit person. They'll like put comments once in a while and then you get tagged in something. They're like, oh my gosh, Ash, because they follow you and they're excited. Like, have you seen this by someone else? And that usually shows that it's like a legit person, not a sock puppet account. But there's someone that's walking that line because the account does put some emojis sometimes, usually the eyeball emojis, like looking emojis. And so I'm on the fence. I'm leaning sock puppet, but again, I don't want to put them on blast just yet, but I will show you the other one that is doing the exact same as spamming behavior that Katie. So this one here, Fair 239572, 2 likes, 4 followers, 249 following, no picture, no bio, all private. This is another one. I had to go back a little bit further in my activity to see really the spamming type behavior from Fair. And I apologize if you're a real person, but I mean, this looks like a sock puppet account. Well, you're probably a real person, but you know what I'm saying. So I had to go pretty back far in my activity, but same type of behavior. Mass, like, let me see if I can even pull it up quick. I think I have a picture that I saved where I'm talking about my activity is purely this Katie. Like, I don't know if you can see. That is what my activity looks like pretty much daily on TikTok. That's another screenshot. Yeah. And that type of behavior shows up with this person as well. So again, all of the earmarks of a sock puppet account. So what do I think? I actually agree. I'm not going to change from what Asia said. I think this is 100% trying to create the illusion of a false smear, like a smear campaign, but it's false evidence of a smear campaign. I 100% think that's exactly what it is trying to get people for it to look like there's some big collusion. And I want to address why in these types of campaigns they go for smaller accounts as well, because I've had a couple comments, not being rude, but just like, you're a smaller account. Why are they going for you? When you're going for controlling the narrative, it's not just the big names like Candace and Megyn Kelly that you're trying to take down. You also want to discredit people that are gaining traction or are too close to the truth. You do not want that to catch on. So one of the things I noticed is once I started speaking about Nick Shapiro, first of all, no one else has. I have tried to get people to talk about Nick Shapiro with me. People won't talk about Nick Shapiro. I'm the only one that really has ultimately. I think a couple people caught on later, but it was well after I had been speaking about him for quite some time. Right after I talked about Nick, my channel took a hit. I was going from thousands on live streams to like 100. I'm not even joking. Like, this was overnight. I was starting to gain traction in a 60, 70,000 views on my channel for a couple of videos up until Nick. Did Nick? At that point, I was lucky to get 400 or 500 views on a video after that. So they're watching. When you're looking at controlling the narrative, you don't just want the big names. You want to silence people that are either too close to the truth or that are starting to gain really loyal followings, especially, and dedicated communities. And that's always been my goal. I don't want 100,000 people on this channel if it's not a community. One of the things I've always loved about Emily D. Baker is it's a community. You feel like you're with your family. And that's something I hold really close to my heart with this space and what I strive for every single day with this space. So those kinds of communities are the most dangerous to opposition because they're dedicated, they're listening, they're looking at things objectively, and they're fighting for truth. So this is the inside Blake Lively's hate campaign fueled by mommy sleuths. The death of Me Too and embrace of patriarchal ideals isn't coming from politics. It's coming from women online. And this is from my friend. No, she's not my friend, Stephanie McNeil, March 14th, 2025. There were other hit pieces that mentioned me as well, but this one really caught my attention because I'm quoted in it. And this was around the time that all my accounts were getting hit, because I was being very vocal about Nick Shapiro at this time, posting quite a bit of content. So she goes on in this article, she's talking about the drama about it. She's making it seem, well, here she's talking about the creators say that she's an unbearable narcissist, delusional enough to think that a costume change was warranted for a simple premiere. And I think this one is, yes, Melanie King. That's right. So Melanie King is who is linked there. They go on and they have a lot of accounts linked. So we have here, oops, did not mean to have that loud. We have there, Dumois is linked. We have a lot of people linked, but here's where it gets interesting. If you scroll down far enough, so we have, of course, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly are talking about it, but still no quote. They're talking about Lively's been accused of lying about a relationship with Gossip Girl Michelle Trachtenberg to get sympathy for her legal case, of sexualizing breastfeeding. So this Stephanie McNeil is like just attacking people as if we're all delusional. Oh, she actually calls it delusional obsession. So we're all delusional. We're all mommy sleuths. And watch these videos long enough and you could believe that there's an entire pro-Lively cabal controlling the internet, suppressing any content that dares criticize her. Yeah. Actually, Stephanie, yes. Ask Nick Shapiro about that. Ask Nick. Ask him about what he did with Hunter Biden's laptop. Ask him what he did with Airbnb. But funny enough, when they try to discredit me, no one brings up Airbnb. No one brings up the fact that he was silencing women, paying women off So it talks about the creators have claimed that Lively's husband, Ryan Reynolds, is watching all their videos. Hey, Ryan, from one Canadian to another, and working to personally scrub the content from the internet with the help of Lively's new crisis PR, Nick Shapiro, who once served as deputy chief of staff for former CIA director John Brennan. The implication is that he's doing so by harnessing the power of the American spy agency. First of all, not in one piece of content did I say that he still works for the CIA. I have been very clear all along that the connections that he made and the knowledge he gained at the CIA is exactly what he's carried through. In fact, Nick's own words described his time at Airbnb Black Box as being back in the situation room at the CIA. Those are his own words. I didn't make that shit up. Here we go. I'm the only one directly quoted. Other people are linked. Other people are called out. I'm the only one directly quoted. I assume they are working on strong-arming citizen journalists to stop speaking on the case, wrote Ashley, a self-proclaimed citizen journalist, on Instagram about Shapiro. First of all, I've never been a self-proclaimed citizen journalist. I've never even claimed to be a content creator. I'm in branding and marketing, a branding and marketing specialist, creating content to help people understand the media manipulation, power controls, and narrative control that's going on here. But okay. It says, what blows my mind is how platforms can promote free speech, then give in to the bullies like this. What we're seeing in real time is how people with money and power manipulate headlines, Google, and social media apps to feed you a very specific narrative. That's true, though, Stephanie McNeil. That is literally true. That is the point of PR. It is no secret that you can do hashtag suppression, keyword suppression, that you can do flooding, that you can have sock public. Like, none of this is secret. I don't understand what's so hard to comprehend. So they're trying to discredit me, which is nothing wrong with being a citizen journalist. Please do not take this as it being negative. But they try to discredit me. So they don't say that I'm in branding, marketing, and PR. They don't include my actual experience. Right? Oh, just some crazy quack on the internet, self-proclaimed citizen journalist. So they leave out intentionally my actual experience, which if you do 3 minutes of research, it's not hard to figure it out. My website still has everything I offer and what I do because I'm not a content creator. I create a lot of content, but I would rather create content around this and have clients find me this way than just sit and be like, and so today, to teach you 3 steps of PR for effective narrative control on Google. I would die. Are you kidding me? I would die of boredom. This is how people find me as I create engaging content. Ugh. Anyway, and then they discredit me. They don't put my experience, and then they play down Nick Shapiro's role. They don't talk about Black Box. They don't talk about the investigations into Black Box, what he's done. They don't talk about how literally his role with the CIA Hunter Biden laptop debacle was to control the narrative and get a specific narrative out so that people didn't know what was really happening, and then also blame Russia for it. No. Of course, we leave the truth out. And then we try to discredit people that are actually bringing the truth out. That's legacy media for you. And some people wonder why Justin Baldoni's team isn't going to legacy media to get their story out. This is why. Legacy media is bullshit. And this is why legacy media is dying. So anyway, this is the game. And I believe 100% that it's true what's happening, that they're trying to create the illusion of a smear campaign. If I was Bryan Freedman, I'd be getting in talk with TikTok to look at, can I get access to those accounts? I don't know their procedures around that legally, but I'd be wanting to get in touch with those accounts. Who owns those accounts? Where do they track back to? Because something doesn't add up. All right, my friends, that's all I have for you today. After this video, why don't you go over, check out the CIA video. I'll put the link in the show notes. I want to hear what you think about all of this. Is it weird that both Nick Shapiro and Tina worked with Hunter Biden to cover up everything? Is it a big coincidence? Again, my mind's still blown. I didn't realize that Bryan Freedman was involved in all of this. Mark Garagos, who is where Tina works, is, very often called a mentor to Bryan Freedman. They're very close. They're working on the Menendez brothers resentencing. I don't know. Maybe it's just all big coincidence. But with this case, every day, I just wonder how so much can be just a coincidence. It's just blowing my mind. In terms of SEO, I know I usually update you guys on SEO. There's really not much happening, to be honest. What you might see, okay, actually, I'll say this really quick. What you hear a lot of in PR is about Friday news dumps. Traditionally in PR, you would put the bad news out on a Friday afternoon because it would usually go under the radar. People wouldn't really notice it. And so what traditionally in PR you would look for is like bad news bears that was hitting silently, quietly the media that had to get out there anyway. However, that's changed with the growth of internet sleuths. It's changed with the growth of social media apps and essentially a 24 hours a day, 7 day a week news cycle. So you're not seeing the Friday negative news dump as much. In fact, sometimes you're seeing positive news, like big, like holy shit news put out on a Friday. Because with content creators picking it up, one, you're going to notice content creators will run with it, will push it, because again, 24/7. And number two, sometimes the unintentional of a Friday news dump is this. With the new way media is going, is if you dump it on a Friday, content creators will pick it up and some platforms will pick it up. But what would have just been a 24 hours news cycle is now turning into a huge kind of like PR crisis. Because if it's news you didn't want anyone to see, then on Monday, you have the news when they're coming in, picking up the story that dropped on the Friday, plus the content creators have been running with it all weekend when there's not really other news, right? Because on the weekend, you're not getting big, usually not getting big news from big legacy media. So the content creators have been running with it all weekend. Some news picked it up on the Friday, and now you have it starting off the week with that news as well. So I do find that the traditional PR is shifting. I have a lot of clients that hire me that have traditional PR, and I work in conjunction with their traditional PR because I have a different lens to it and a different lens of looking at things. I don't do traditional PR. I have no interest in it. No interest. And I have no interest in that kind of client load. It's too stressful, too much work. So that's what you would usually see is you would drop it quietly on Friday, and then it would just like fly under the radar. No one would see it, and it just kind of went away. Now, what you're seeing a little bit more of and what has been happening is people are choosing to dump negative news on like a Tuesday. You don't want to do it on a Monday. Just like if you're launching a product, you don't want to launch a product on a Monday. You don't want to launch it on Monday. Launching big news on a Monday, unless you have no choice, like for example, say the second amended complaint for Bryan Freedman's due, I think on Monday, you really have no choice, right? It's not like you be like, Judge, PR and all, we can't put this out on a Monday, but my schedule is free for Tuesday. What does it look like for Tuesday to have this deadline so I can have it hitting the news cycle when's best? But usually, especially if it's bad news, what you're finding is something like a Tuesday's better because it's going to get picked up. A lot's going on. Usually a lot of news is dropping on a Tuesday. A lot of stuff's happening within the news cycle on a Tuesday. And then it kind of quietly gets like dropped in there and no one else picks it up because there's just so much going on. Now the work week's kind of like under gaining momentum. So it's hard to say now. I get asked, like, do you think there's going to be a news dump? It's hard to say. If you had asked me like 15 years ago, I'd be like, bad news will drop on Friday. The only bad news. I still see it sometimes. There were a couple articles Ryan Reynolds put out. I was like, that was a Friday news dump with the intention of it flying under the radar, and it worked. No one touched it. No one saw it. It was very But it's hard to say. For someone, this is my thought on this. For someone that has more legacy media on their side, so for example, Ryan and Blake, I would expect more negative news to quietly come out potentially on a Friday. I don't know if they would still play that now with content creators watching everything, but traditionally you would see someone like that drop it more on a Friday. I would say someone that's leaning more into content creators, so Bryan Freedman and Justin Baldoni, good news can be really good for them on a Friday because you're going to get everyone that picks it up. There's not much competition over the weekend, so it's going to go viral. And then that what would have been a 24 hours news cycle, even a 12 hours news cycle, because this case is moving so fast, it's going to hit Friday. Anyone still in the office is going to run with it. It's going to get carried through by the content creators over the weekend. And then everyone back in the office on the Monday is going to pick it up and run with it. So you're going to start seeing it hit the legacy media like that on the Monday, which extends the good news through. So hard to say, hard to predict, but I would, if I had to, if my arm was twisted, I had to, I'd say likely to see really good news from Justin's side on a Friday. Likely to see more like news from Blake and Ryan, or then be a little bit quieter on a Friday. That's just my prediction. But again, it's hard to make those predictions now with the news cycle. It's always like that ultimately cost benefit analysis, right? Like weighing the cost and the benefit of it. All right, my friends, with that, I'm going to let you go. I hope you enjoyed. I am sorry I'm not live with you today, but I hope you enjoyed hanging out with the chat, and check out the CIA video. And another thing I want to let you know is on Tuesday, I am relaunching Brand by Design 101. It is my signature branding course. What I've noticed is a lot of people want to learn more about what I do and how to build a brand that drops the confusion and gets you seen for what you're best at with the right community. A lot of people are like, I love your community. How'd you do this? Brand by Design helps you build that brand. And it's putting all my knowledge that I work with private clients into a course. And I've been running this course for years, and I'm doing my summer intake, and it starts on Tuesday. So if you've ever been like, wow, I want to work with Ashley, but one-on-one is just out of the budget right now, this is where you want to be. That's going to be launching on Tuesday. You can get on my email list by filling out my free, it's totally free, brand archetype quiz. You do need to know your human design for that, because I talk about BG5 in it. You can fill out the brand archetype quiz. It's in the comments in the notes here for this episode. And then you'll be on the email list. You'll be the first to know when that drops. But okay, I'm going to let you guys go for reals. I have to get on a call. With that, I will see you guys in the next one. Love you guys. Bye. What I found, nobody wants to hear.